We have our basic product information in a MySQL database. Let's now walk through how to retrieve that data with PHP so that we can use it in our website. Since version 5.1, PHP comes with a native mechanism for connecting to databases called PHP Data Objects, or PDO for short. PDO provides some great methods for working with all kinds of databases, including MySQL databases. We'll be working with a PDO object, so I want to remind you of some of the terminology and syntax involved in working with objects. An object is a complex variable type that bundles other variables and functions together into a single unit. Those variables are called properties of the object, and those functions are called methods of the object. We talked about all this before when we discussed PHP mailer objects. PHP mailer objects have properties like email subject and from address. They also have methods like add attachment and send. Remember that a hyphen and a greater than sign, two characters that together look like a single arrow, are used with objects. Let's say we have a PHP mailer object called mail. We can access the properties in that object by specifying the object name, the single arrow, and then the property name. We can call a method on that same object by specifying the object name, the single arrow, and the method name followed by two parentheses. Methods are like functions, and they can receive arguments inside those parentheses. The send method receives no arguments, but you still need the parentheses. The add attachment method, on the other hand, does receive an argument. It receives a reference to the file that you want to attach. One thing we haven't discussed yet is the idea of a class. In PHP, a class is a type of object, or an object definition. It's like a blueprint or a recipe for an object. The class defines what properties and methods will exist inside any objects of that class. Each object is said to instantiate its class, which means it is a real instance made from that class. PHP Mailer is actually a class. All PHP Mailer objects have certain properties and methods because they instantiate that PHP Mailer class, which defines what those properties and methods will be. PDO is also a class. It's native to PHP, so we don't have to include a third-party library to use it. We can create an object that instantiates the PDO class, and that object will have the properties and methods defined by that class. We can then use that object to query the database. Does all that make sense? If so, let's take a closer look at the PDO class next.